The Kansas City Chiefs are getting some important players back, which should give a real boost to their offense. One key player might even be back in action this week. But while there's good news on the field, there's also been some unsettling news off it. Fans are still worried about protecting Patrick Mahomes, and a seasoned player is reportedly ready to make a comeback. But before diving into all that, we need to talk about something strange that's been happening. In recent months, a string of burglaries and thefts have been targeting Chiefs players around Kansas City. Yes, these athletes earn good money, but it's strange how many have been hit. Over the last 6 months, safety Nazeeh Johnson and wide receiver Xavier Worthy both had their cars stolen. Then, just last week, defensive tackle Chris Jones revealed that his teammate Mike Pennel also had his car stolen. But here's the kicker. TMZ recently reported that both Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes had their homes broken into within 24 hours of each other back in October. Here's what we know. Mahomes' home was broken into on October 6 around midnight. Then, the very next day, October 7, while the Chiefs were playing the Saints at Arrowhead on Monday Night Football, Kelce's home was hit around 7:30 p.m., right around kickoff. Reports say the burglars stole $20,000 in cash, damaged Kelce's back door, and left Kelce and Taylor Swift so shaken that they spent the night at a hotel in downtown Kansas City rather than returning home. Their security teams were taking no risks. Mahomes spoke about the incident during a recent press conference. While he expressed disappointment, he couldn't share too many details since the investigation is still ongoing. He did say that it's frustrating to deal with something like this, especially when nobody deserves to experience it. Thankfully, no one was hurt in any of these incidents, which is what matters most. For now, all we can do is hope the culprits get caught. But even if they are, there's always a risk that others will try to pull off similar stunts. Buffalo fans crying foul. Before kickoff land, Clark is set to be the head referee for the Chiefs versus Bills game. And Buffalo fans are already crying foul. The reason? The Chiefs have a 5-0 record when Clark officiates their games, while the Bills are only 3-2 under his watch. Buffalo fans have even started selling Buffalo versus the refs merchandise, gearing up to blame the officials if things don't go their way. It's amusing because if the Bills win, they'll say it was fair. If the Chiefs win, then it must be the refs' fault. But here's the reality. The data doesn't support any referee favoritism toward the Chiefs. According to Joseph Hefner of KCSN, shout out to him for his great Twitter updates, through 10 weeks of football, the Chiefs have just 13 more favorable calls than their opponents, and the Bills have 12, a difference of only 1 call. For judgment calls like illegal formation, roughing the passer, and pass interference, the Chiefs actually rank lower in favorable calls, sitting in 22nd, while the Bills are a bit higher in 15th place. So there's no real proof that the refs favor the Chiefs. Good news for Chiefs. Key players returning soon. In other news, the Chiefs are set to welcome back some crucial players. While not all are ready to return this week, it's still fantastic news. Jordan Schultz reported that running back Isaiah Pacheco and defensive lineman Charles Omenihu are both designated to return from the IR and PUP lists, respectively. Coach Andy Reid confirmed that both players had their 21-day windows open for practice, with both spotted at practice today. But don't get too excited yet. Coach Reid also noted that both Pacheco and Omenihu are unlikely to play this weekend against the Bills, as they need more practice before hitting the field in a game. For now, they don't take up a roster spot until they're officially activated, which gives the Chiefs some flexibility. Currently, the Chiefs' defensive line roster has 10 players, meaning one player will need to be released to make room when both are ready to join the 53-man squad. Defensive line shakeup and the return of Omenihu. On the defensive line, the Chiefs currently have 5 defensive ends: FAU, Mike Danna, Malik Herring, George Karlaftis, and Cameron Thomas. So far, Tui Patu and Cameron Thomas have seen the least playing time, making them potential candidates to be released if roster space is needed. The return of Charles Omenihu is great news for the defense, which currently ranks in the league's bottom 7 for sacks, with only 19 on the season. Omenihu's versatility to play both inside and outside will pair well with Chris Jones' ability to shift outside. Plus, with Karlaftis heating up, Dana back from injury, and the recent addition of Josh Uche from the Patriots, the defensive line is looking strong as KC pushes toward the playoffs. Running back room shuffles and Pacheco's potential. Right now, the Chiefs' running back room consists of Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, Samaj Perrine, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde has been a healthy scratch the past few games since his return from the NFI list, likely due to the mental health struggles he's been addressing. There's some debate about whether Clyde or Steele might be the odd man out if the Chiefs need to make roster moves. Steele, as a rookie, has had some challenges in pass protection, so Pacheco's return could add needed depth with his superior speed, catching ability, and blocking skills. Pacheco's burst and speed could help balance out Kareem Hunt's role, making a strong 1-2 punch. Kareem has been handling a high workload lately, with 21-plus carries in 4 of the last 5 games. However, with his knee slightly banged up from last week's game against the Broncos, he might need some relief. I see Pacheco sharing the load on early downs, adding a burst when it's unclear if he'll run or catch out of the backfield. As for Kareem, his elite vision makes him perfect for high-stakes situations like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and goal line plays. Meanwhile, Perrine remains the go-to for third downs and passing situations. The running back room, looking stronger than ever. With everyone returning, the Chiefs' running back room is shaping up to be incredible, especially if they can all stay healthy. This situation has a silver lining. If Pacheco hadn't gotten injured, we probably wouldn't have seen the addition of Kareem Hunt. The thought of a Hunt-Pacheco combo is exciting, though we'll have to wait at least another week or two. In terms of the roster, it'll be interesting to see how KC makes room for both when they're fully ready, which should be in the next 2 to 3 games. Since they're both sitting out this week's game against Buffalo, they might return by Week 12 against the Panthers or Week 13 against the Raiders. When Pacheco and Omenihu do get back, they'll likely start with limited snaps to ease them in. But by the time the Chiefs face 3 tough games in just 11 days against the Browns on December 15th, the Texans on December 21st, and the Steelers on Christmas Day, they should be fully integrated. Having both of these playmakers ready and in full form will be crucial for that stretch and for the playoffs. Juju's possible return, boosting the receiver core. And while Pacheco and Omenihu won't be back for this Sunday, there's a strong chance we'll see Juju Smith-Schuster make his return. After missing a few games due to a hamstring injury, Coach Andy Reid shared that Juju is likely to play if he feels good in practice this week. According to Reid, if it were up to Juju, he'd already be back on the field. Juju's return would be a massive boost, giving Mahomes another trusted target alongside Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins. Even though Juju isn't quite at his peak form, he proved he can still deliver when he caught 7 passes for 130 yards against the Saints just a month ago. Juju's presence would also shift defensive attention, letting him face CB2S or even CB3S as teams prioritize Kelce and Hopkins. That makes Juju a solid third option and adds depth to a receiver group that could use some support. Justin Watson has had a quieter role lately, and rookie Xavier Worthy is still working through the usual growing pains. Mahomes even mentioned he missed Worthy on a deep pass last week, so hopefully they'll connect on one soon. O-line worries and the need for depth. Kingsley Sumatia had a tough time when he stepped in at left tackle after Wanya Morris injured his knee. While Coach Andy Reid says Morris's knee issues aren't a long-term concern, he tweaks it now and then and can usually return to play. there's a strong case for the Chiefs to bring in some extra support. Donovan Smith, a seasoned left tackle, is reportedly in top shape and ready to jump in if the Chiefs call him up. Nate Taylor from The Athletic even hinted that if Morris's knee remains an issue in Buffalo this week, Smith might join the team soon. In my opinion, they should make that call, regardless of how Morris's knee holds up, because you can never have too much protection for Mahomes. Let's not forget the nightmare of Super Bowl 55. Protecting Patrick Mahomes, especially with his ankle not at 100%, should be a top priority. The left tackle spot, his blind side, is critical, especially with defenses like the Broncos recently putting intense pressure on him. Chiefs fans, what do you think? Should the Chiefs bring in Donovan Smith for that extra depth? The Trey Smith dilemma, free agency, and tough decisions. Now looking further ahead, there's an even bigger challenge looming for the Chiefs' offensive line. Right guard Trey Smith, currently ranked by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler as the #2 free agent to watch out for, is expected to hit the market next season. Fowler notes that the Chiefs would love to re-sign Smith, but it won't be easy. Smith could command around $22 million a year, potentially making him the highest-paid guard in the NFL. The Chiefs are likely preparing for the possibility of losing him due to this high price tag. Kansas City's interior O-line with Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith is one of the league's best, but keeping this trio together could break the bank. Thuney alone has a cap hit of $26 million next year, and if the Chiefs don't restructure or extend him, the financial strain will be intense. Creed Humphrey is also making $18 million annually as the league's highest-paid center. Brett Veach will face some tough choices in the offseason, not just with Trey Smith, but with other key players like linebacker Nick Bolton. Then there's the wide receiver room, which may need a complete reset. Right now, only Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, and Sky Moore are under contract beyond this season, and Moore's future with the team remains uncertain. Thoughts on potential player, returns, and injury updates. Let's focus on this season and the players who could make an impact soon. What do you think about bringing back Donovan Smith for extra protection? And how excited are you for the hopeful return of Juju Smith-Schuster for this week's game against the Bills? Plus, we've got Charles Omenihu and Isaiah Pacheco making progress towards their own returns. Injury report highlights. Let's dive into today's injury report for both the Chiefs and Bills, which brought a few surprises. First up, no shock here, but Charles Omenihu and Isaiah Pacheco are still listed and will likely be limited as they get back into practice and build up during their 21-day window to return. Juju Smith-Schuster, recovering from a hamstring injury, was limited today, but if he's fully practicing by Friday, it's a solid sign he'll suit up against the Bills. We'll likely see him listed as questionable, but he's on the right track. Then we have some updates on a few Chiefs receivers. DeAndre Hopkins was a full participant, and Mecole Hardman and Juju Smith-Schuster are both on the injury list as well. Nothing major, but it's worth noting. Kareem Hunt is a regular on the report, but he fully participated today, which is good to see. Wanya Morris, who had some knee issues recently, also fully participated today, which is reassuring. A couple of new entries caught my eye, though. Patrick Mahomes' ankle and hip both made the list. Mahomes was a full participant, so no huge concern, but the added hip issue is something to watch. Bills injury. Watch. As for the Bills, their injury list has a few key players to keep an eye on. Josh Allen has a minor issue with his left, non-throwing hand, so no big worries there. But Spencer Brown, their starting right tackle, sat out due to an ankle injury, and he didn't participate in practice today, something that could be significant for Buffalo. Rookie wide receiver Keon Coleman is already ruled out, and Amari Cooper, whom the Bills recently traded for, is expected to play, but missed last week's game. Dalton Kincaid, one of Josh Allen's key targets, had a knee issue last game, returned briefly, then exited for the rest of the game. He's uncertain for this week. And linebacker Matt Milano, a standout on their defense, recently opened his 21-day return window after a bicep tear. He might not play just yet, but his return will be important for Buffalo. For now, we'll keep an eye on Thursday and Friday's injury trends before final statuses come out Friday afternoon. Let me know your thoughts on the injury report and these potential returns. Until next time, let's go Chiefs.